Good morning. Do you remember how you felt on the day you received your first COVID vaccination? I suspect many of you have had that experience. For me, it was a day of considerable relief. As I stepped up to the vaccination table, tears flooded my eyes. I managed to croak out a faint thank you before sitting in silence for the next 15 minutes. During my waiting time, I thought of those who still were waiting for their vaccine. I thought about those who had already perished from the virus and those who steadfastly went to work each day, those essential workers serving despite the dangers. Then I thought about my infant granddaughter and my 91-year-old father, most vulnerable at their extremes of lifespan, and how a single shot began to build protection for them, as well as for myself. As I drove home, I didn't quite know how to process all that I was feeling, but I knew that it was right to be grateful. When words fail us, there is always gratitude. After my second vaccination, an opportunity arose to become a volunteer vaccinator. A stream of friends and neighbors and community members made their way to the vaccination center, including some folks who made an impression on me. There was the second grade teacher who openly wept during her check-in process, her vaccination, and the 15 minutes she waited afterward. Tears of relief, she told me, knowing she would not infect the little ones under her care or carry home the virus to her family. There was the older man with his developmentally challenged son at his side. As he rolled up his sleeve, an elaborate tattoo of a cross wrapped in vines and flowers was evident on his upper arm. The name Mary was inscribed on the cross. And as I injected the vaccine into the tattoo, he leaned in and whispered that he was vaccinating for his deceased wife, Mary, who died when his son was 7 years old, leaving him to raise the young man alone. Many years before, he had promised Mary he would take care of his son, and vaccination was part of that promise. There was the African-American man, about 30, who had lost a brother and a cousin to COVID. He radiated a grim determination to do what he could to protect his community and his extended family in Detroit, a hotspot of viral activity early in the pandemic. What I came to understand about all of these brief encounters was this. Although our stories and our motivations may differ, our hopes are all woven together. Health, safety, family, community. Aren't those the things that we roll up our sleeve for? Neighbor loving neighbor. Neighbor moves beyond the geography of someone who lives next door and becomes the person standing next to us in the vaccine line. Those injections are much more than a vaccine. They are injections of hope, possibility, and love. This has been a time to think about our precious lives, our own and those of others, and to wonder about how God is caring for us. The older I get, the more I realize that all of life cannot be comprehended solely through the lenses of our intelligence or empirical evidence. How does one account for the inspiration and know-how to create novel vaccines to save lives and reduce the severity of illness to a virus we didn't even know existed 20 months ago? Development, testing, and rollout of this vaccine occurred in about 1 year. There is no historical precedent for that kind of vaccine development. Thanks be to God, who shows up in the minds of scientists and the miracle of medicine.